and welcome to the latest episode of the Celtic View podcast, brought to you in association with Eden Mill. And as always, thanks to our friends at Eden Mill for the ongoing support of the club and also for the support of this Celtic View podcast. And joining me and my Celtic View colleague Joe Donnelly on today's podcast, delighted to have our assistant manager John Kennedy. John, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
No problem at all.
Strange times, obviously, the postponement of football. Everybody's having to work from home now, and I'm guessing that for you and the rest of the managerial staff and the backroom staff, it brings with it a lot of challenges having to deal with the players on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it does. It's obviously strange times, and for us, it's always a case of we plan ahead to the next game, or when we're due to restart for the new season, whatever it might be. So, not having that time frame in terms of what you're working to is difficult to plan itself, because you end up just working week to week with the players and giving them programs to take themselves over. But again, it's the same for everyone. Everyone's very unknown territory at the moment in terms of when things might get back to normal. So we just have to keep them in decent enough shape that when we get the go ahead to come, back to work, then we can quickly pick up hopefully where we left off.
Yeah, we were speaking to Jack Naylor the other day, and obviously him and John Curry, and I'm guessing in very close coordination with yourself and the management, having to deal with the players on a day-to-day basis, giving them programmes to do, giving them challenges to do as well, to keep that competitive nature that they all have going.
Yeah, it's obviously between myself, the manager, and the guys. We've been speaking regularly just in terms of what's the best approach, what we can and can't do, just taking guidance on that as well. And we managed to get, to be for the club being good and helpful in that respect. Everybody that's in Glasgow, we managed to get a spin bike delivered to every player as well. And it's just to keep them active, keep them fit, and stimulate them the best we can. And it's very limited in terms of where they can go and what they can do. But we've got a great group of players, to be fair. Very talented group, but more than ever we've got a very professional and dedicated group. So everybody's been very much on board and carrying out everything they've been asked, and a lot of players actually eager to do more than we've asked as well. So it's been positive. On a week to week we've tried to set them little challenges, again just to keep the stimulation going. Last week with the 5k challenge and of bike challenges and different things as well, just to keep them going and give them that option as well. So it's working well as best we can. It's difficult for anyone in these circumstances, but you just got to try and do what you can and get the most out of it.
One of the things that we speak so much about, season to season in Scottish football, is just how busy it is, particularly at a club like Celtic. The amount of games that the players are asked to play, the European qualifiers come round early, and obviously off the back of pre-season, physically, mentally challenging. But on the other side of that, it really is, all the players know, even players like Callum McGregor, he's only known the early qualifiers in the European stages, and then that just changes overnight. That adjustment must be so difficult.
Yeah, it must be, even for ourselves, for the last, I don't know how many years now, it's been very much routine for us, in terms of myself, in terms of, you play the games, you quickly approach the next game, the season finishes, you get a very short break, and then you go again. Whereas here you're it's a strange feeling knowing that you're, waiting, but you don't know when it'll be that you get the opportunity to get restarted. So, but we're not the only ones. The players in this period obviously will get a chance to probably refresh and actually get a break. But obviously we weren't expecting it to be in these circumstances. But again, it's just getting the balance right of opportunity for the ones who have played probably season on season for a number of years, a chance to get that little break, get some free time, but at the same time, keep yourself active enough, because, we've still got some work to do. So it's been strange, but as I say, I think we're making the most of it.
Because we spoke to Greg Taylor this week as well, and I think he, if I'm right, he won the 5k challenge last week, which he was quite keen to tell us about. So,
he was,
but obviously, you know yourself as a player, but obviously working with these guys as well, that competitive nature, and that, even those wee things because I think he checked Johnny Hayes' time before he went out for his run. So it's good that that's just something that's inherent in them, isn't it?
It is, and that's what makes them winners as well, is having that competitive edge. So, whether it's at times, computer game, you hear Beaton and Frimpong, constantly going on about NBA basketball, but it's just naturally in their nature.
Yeah.
Whether it's a computer game or whether it's on the pitch or on a Saturday at Celtic Park, they want to win. So it's tapping into that and using that to our advantage, as well as if you stimulate them in certain competitions, they want to be part of it. They want to take part, and at the same time, we're getting the benefit of staying active, staying fit. So it's good, and the fitness guys have worked that well, in terms of creating the group and using the apps and everything else so everybody can see each other's recordings and again, it's that stimulation which allows them to go out and try and squeeze an extra bit out of them in times when it's difficult to get your mind around what you might be training for.
Yeah. What about the management staff? Have you got any wee kind of competitions going yourselves between the group of you?
To be fair, it's been quieter than normal. Occasionally we'll pop through Monday to Friday. A daily quiz will come through. People get involved in. The manager likes every daily quiz. So each day somebody's usually nominated to come up with something for the group chat. But other than that, it's just been speaking to Neil, speaking to the guys, and just making sure we're on top of everything, because when you're not together, which we're so used to, it's the communication between each other becomes all the more important. That everybody's, and then it's good to still have that part of your daily routine is speaking about work and speaking with your colleagues. So it's been quieter than normal, but we're still in regular contact.
Because we will obviously, a lot of kind of people listening to this podcast or readers on the website or whatever will be interested to know how have the players been staying connected. But I mean, how you guys? I mean, you're so used to seeing each other every day, basically, and now you've got a full group of players who, in normal circumstances, are looking to you guys for advice, but at a time when it must be very difficult to give advice because we're not really sure what's going on, you guys have got that extra burden of responsibility and due care to the players.
Yeah, we do, but it's also make sure that the players are getting what they need. And for the staff, it's much the same, because they need to stay active as well. We've actually got a reasonably fit backroom team, believe it or not, who actually get involved in a lot of the stuff that we send round to the players and everything else. So, even when the 5K challenge we did went out, it was, Stevie Woods and Damien Duff and the fitness guys were all out recording their times and submitting them as well to be part of it. And then the same, in terms of the bike challenge we've got coming up. That's my speciality because I can't run so much. So it's I was the pacemaker, so I was the first one to submit a time that gives the players a target, but which not many of them will reach, by the way.
That's fighting talk, John.
I'm looking forward to it. But so even things like that, it's being part of it and also staying connected with the players and that having that relationship which we've always had with them, which is we're very much their coaches and their staff and management and everything else, but we've got a good bond and there's a relationship there that we trust each other and communicate regularly and have a connection there, which we've always had. So we'll continue to do that. And again, with the staff, it's the same, in terms of that regular contact. Neil's been out running regularly and keeping himself active, which he's done for the last several months now. So again, it's difficult. You try and do what you can and sometimes come up with things to do during the day because you're that used to being occupied with the games and the training and the planning and everything else. Whereas you're kind of now going looking for things to do. So it's a big change.
I mean, in terms of this season, that you must have been absolutely delighted with the way the team's played, and then particularly since the turn of the year, the form has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it has been. It's been one where we started the season well, and in terms of the league, and Europa was good first half of the season, did well, and then obviously the break. The Rangers game was disappointing, but the break came, and then just since then we've not really looked back. There's been, again, you've seen it for yourselves, the motivation to go and deliver another trophy and try and get across that finish line, and they've been ruthless at times the way they've went out and played in the games and the intensity they've played with But it just starts with how they work. As a group, they're very hard working, they're very honest. They're a great bunch to work with. So even the time we had in Dubai, they knew we had work to do in terms of, we've had a good first half of the season. The previous seasons before that were very successful, but they're never happy to stand still, and we don't allow that either. So it was important that we went there and set a kind of target as such between that break and the end of the season, and go and try and achieve more success. And you could tell from day one they were hungry to do that again. So it's been a good season, up till obviously we were stopped, and we were sitting in a very good place, which we have been the last few seasons.
Yeah, because Callum McGregor, we spoke to him the other day, and he was saying obviously he scored more goals this season than any previous season. I think it's 13, and he was saying he was really enjoying particularly when the way you guys had kind of tweaked the formations, playing with three at the back sometimes, particularly when we came back at this time of the year, and he was enjoying that. He felt he was getting forward and getting maybe more goal scoring opportunities and taking advantage of that. And some of the goals he scored have been characteristically great.
Yeah, and it's one where it's good to have that in an armoury where we can change things when need be. It's something that we've tried to work on whenever the games come around. So often it can be difficult to get the proper work in to do it. Because everybody thinks that you can just quickly pick a system up and shove the players out there and they'll go and deliver it. Yeah, they can, but probably not to the way you want. It becomes a bit of a game of chance when they don't fully understand the kind of roles within that. But the players have been great. Without too much, giving them too much, they quickly pick things up. They're a bright bunch. So in terms of when they made the changes, they adapt very quickly to that. And when you've got players like Callum and Brownie and these boys in the middle of the pitch, they help with that factor. In terms of the discipline and organisation and team. And when we've had to make the changes, it's been a smooth transition. Even at Pittodrie, when we played the three at the back and things weren't going quite as we wanted, we quickly changed to 4-3-3, which we'd done for a large part of the first half and gave us a bit more control, and we managed to go and win that game. So the flexibility within that's important, as it is for everyone. When you've got two or three systems that you can jump between and change, whether it be in game or an approach to the game, then it's to your advantage. So it's credit to the players as well, because again they're a bunch who want to listen and learn and pick anything up that you want them to do.
One of the things that the manager seemed keen to praise about the partnership, just about the formations there, about having Lee Griffiths and Odsonne Edouard up there. They've got bundles of ability, but he kept going back to they're both intelligent football players. And just kind of touching on what you said there, John, I mean, that intelligence must be so important if you're tweaking formations mid-game, because you don't have the virtue of being able to sit them down and exactly explain they've got to change on the fly as they go.
No, I mean, if you make a change at half time or whatever it might be, then you a bit of time to sit them down and talk through things. Whereas if you make it in game like we did second half during that game, then it's quickly getting your message on to the guys who can then pass it on the pitch. But we like to think that we've worked for a period of time allows us to do that, because we do work on the tactical side of the game. We do a lot of exercises which makes the players think for themselves and able to adapt. So when these moments come, you hope that the work you do in the training pitch allows a much more smoother transition in game or leading in a game, whatever it might be, that the players can quickly pick up and identify what they're doing and make those changes for themselves, and the aid of the coaching staff from the side or at half time, whatever it might be.
Is there quite a, you mentioned already, John, likes of Callum and Scott Brown, and James Forrest, probably another one in a different way of leading by example, particularly when you're bringing new players in, young players from different cultures and countries. When they have that kind of work ethic, the other players kind of feed off that and learn from it.
Yeah, definitely, and that becomes important in terms of the makeup of your squad. Is you've got these type of boys as part of your group, because what they do, they set the example, they set the tone for everything. So in terms of any work you want to do, any training you do, then these guys are always at the top end of it in terms of leading by example and setting the standards. So anybody new coming in, quickly identify that. They can see who the leaders in the group are. and they want to, follow that, especially new players who are coming in and want to, have that impact and have that, first impression. Then, they always look to the top end of the group in terms of what's the standard, and then they go and try and achieve that. So, having them around the place is always important for us. We've always said that, but in terms of what they've achieved at the club, has been amazing in terms of both the times here. But, there's a lot more to come, and they're still eager to keep pushing and keep progressing and winning as many things as they possibly can.
I mean, in terms of obviously we've brought some new faces in, and one of the ones that I think, the fans have obviously taken to is Jeremy Frimpong. Obviously he came in as a young guy, maybe a longer term project. Were you guys surprised that, or just delighted at the way he's developed so quickly and become such a key part of the squad?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a big plus for us in terms of, he came in obviously a young player with talent, but in terms of coming in and just being around the squad initially to get a feel for it, in terms of then build them up to hopefully in the future become an important player for us. But to be fair, it was one where over a period of weeks and just the regular on a day-to-day basis, he kept impressing. He kept showing what it was about. Very determined, terrific pace, and what you see on a weekend in the games is what we were seeing regularly in training. And I remember there was just one day where myself and the manager and Damien were talking at the side of the pitch, and it was a case of we're going to just have to let him go. You can't hold him back any longer, and that's what happened basically. That's how he got himself in the team, and it was through how he was training, impressions he made within that. Forget about his age or the size of him, everything else, what he can offer, and the ability he had was just too much to hold back. And you get that with young players, you can sense it. There comes a point in time where you think, we're just going to have to let him go here. Whether it's an appearance here or there, or right, okay, just put him in, see how he goes. And manager had great faith in Jeremy to do that, and identified quickly that we just have to give him the opportunity now and see how he develops and how he progresses. And he's never looked back. He's been an important player for us in the games he's played.
Yeah. Is that the NBA, John?
NBA is really, I'm obsessed with that.
I mean, that enthusiasm he must have, it must be infectious in the dressing room as well. It seems relentless.
Yeah, he is. To be fair, every day he's the exact same. He doesn't, ever change. He's just who he is. He's very, very real. There's no falseness about him at all. He's a bubbly type, great character to have around, and a very good trainer. He's still got a lot to do in terms of he's young and naive at times. There's been some of the bigger games, just positioning things and little things where he's maybe loses concentration. But you forget how young he is, and as much as he's got so much to offer, being a young player, he's still got a lot to do as well. So and he knows that, and he's one who we have regular contact with and chat to him about things, and we work on things, and but the kind of the ability he has and the natural physical elements of his game that he offers, he's only going to get better and better. So the more games he plays, the more he works with us, hopefully he keeps developing, and who knows where that may lead to.
Yeah, I mean, in terms, is it possible for you to look over the course of the season? Are there particular moments that have stuck out for you as highlights? Obviously, for me, seeing that game in Rome where we won was just incredible. But even either domestically or Europe, there must be some great moments for you to reflect on.
Yeah, I think probably both the Lazio games would be the ones, if I'm reflecting the season, they're the ones that I remember most. Probably because of the way in which we won the games. Always been late winners as well. Always is good for sticking in the memory. But I think just the magnitude of the games, in terms of the group we got, we knew it was going to be tough, and we obviously got off to a very good start. But those two games were really defining in terms of progressing. And I think the standard of the opposition as well. When you come up against the bigger teams, who the talent they had in the squad was top notch, and I think they've shown that in the league campaign this year as well. That at home, terrific result, which we always fancy ourselves when we're at home. But going away, we knew it would be a tough task, and we knew we had to go and pretty much be on it. Not make too many mistakes. Take the chances that came our way, and be very disciplined and organised. So I think it was very satisfying. Especially going more so probably going away from home. At home was spectacular, great. Winner from Big Sis and winning the game and was great. But I think going away in Rome just kind of, just gave the players that real belief that we can really do it at this level. We can, compete. When we're on it, we're organised and we're all doing the jobs that we're asked to do. Then we're a hard nut to crack. So it was very satisfying. In terms of even going over there, we changed the shape that night, and that was basically down to how the probably second half panned out at Celtic Park. They're obviously an attacking minded team with a lot of presence at the top end. Two good strikers, always an attacking midfielder, very forward thinking wing back. So during the game at Celtic Park, when we played the four, we started well when we were fresh, we pressed them well, but as the game was developing, we began to tire, just began to stretch us a bit, and they gave us some problems. So, going into the game away from home, we kind of changed our approach and played with the three centre-backs and gave us a bit more stability at the back, but at the same time it allowed us to press aggressively when we had to. So it was one that came together, it worked well, and the players in that night were fantastic, and again a last minute winner from Olivier was superb. So that was probably the one that sticks in the memory the most.
And Lazio with just 60 seconds of added time remaining. The ball's knocked across and they've given it away. Could Celtic score in the last minute? Again, Callum McGregor. And Cham! He scored! Olivier Cham has created Celtic history, and Celtic have won in Italy for the first time ever. Olivier Cham with a goal. Unbelievable! It's unbelievable! Celtic have won! Incredible scenes from Celtic from Olivier Cham. He is the coolest man in the Stadio Olimpico. He didn't seem to break a sweat, break his stride as he stuck the ball into the net. You can see what it means to the Celtic fans behind the goal, to the Celtic technical area, to Neil Lennon, to us in the press area here. Celtic again capitalising on an error from Lazio at the back. Austin Edward, cool as you like as well, looking to see the pass. Olivier Cham takes a touch and puts it by the goalkeeper. Fantastic from the Frenchman, brilliant from Celtic. Well, it's a miracle because Hatem El Hamid got off his sick bed and raced down the trackside along with all the other substitutes. Lazio will have no time to get this game underway. Celtic lead by 2-1 in Rome, and they are about to go top of the table with 10 points. They are going to be heading through to the last 32. As it stands, Olivier Cham the hero, but it's been every Celtic player the hero tonight. The ball knocked forward. Bauer just plays that, and then indeed, as the final whistle, the Celtic fans erupt. Unbelievable scenes here in the Roman Stadium. Olivier Cham with that last gasp goal set up his fellow countrymen. They go to hug each other, and Celtic have beaten Lazio. Absolute jubilation, and it is no more than Neil Lennon's side deserve.
That goal of Olivier Cham's, I remember, I think it was Tony, my colleague, that spoke to him for the magazine afterwards, and Olivier himself was saying that goal, he took a bad touch. Now, from supporters' point of view, it's very rare to see him take a bad touch, but if that's how he makes up for taking a bad touch, to have the audacity to try that chip to lift it over in the 95th minute, it's pretty good going.
It is. I mean, to be fair, Olivier's been excellent for us, in terms of his contribution this season's. Probably last season was a bit quieter, never quite reached his levels in terms of what we knew he could produce, but this year he's really kicked on again and became an important part of the squad. And I think since January, other than being injured for a few weeks, he was playing pretty much every game. So again, he's done very well, and again, Olivier's the one who's got bundles of talent in terms of technically one of the best in the squad, in terms of receiving and how he can manipulate the ball, and his balance in terms of receiving and getting turned and moving with the ball is terrific. But again, he's a really solid professional, good guy, respectful, wants to work, so it's no surprise that he's came strong again for us.
I mean, this week we're also launching the chance for fans to vote for Player of the Year, goal of the season, young player of the year, and is it maybe just a sign of how well the team's done that when you look at the player of the year nominees, it's really difficult to choose one because all the guys that are nominated, you can make a really good case for them.
Yeah, that's a positive in itself, because there are years where you sit and you know from a few months out that pretty much there's a front runner there, but we have had players this season who've been very consistent over the course, and then there've been players who've had big impacts through large parts of the season, so it's a difficult one. I'm glad I'm not the person to choose it, to be honest. Seeing the list of nominees, I thought that'll be a tough one in itself. I think everyone will, from a fan's perspective, probably look at French Eddie and think of the goals and the quality he's brought at times, but you're James Forrest, who's produced goals and assists, high numbers again this year, and again keeps getting better in terms of that respect. Cal McGregor, who just gives you everything he's got, and the quality and the goals and everything else he's produced this year, and usual Brownie and the rest that go with it. So it'll be a tough one. It'll be a tough one to call, but again, for our perspective, that's always a positive. It means there's been, several players in the team who have produced throughout a long period of time to be in that position.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they asked the fans to vote for it, because they don't want to put the pressure on somebody's shoulders.
No, they'd fall out as if we chose one and not the other.
I mean, obviously, again, the fans vote for their goal of the season, but do you have a particular favourite at all that stands out for you? Is one of yours top for the season?
Question. I think, again, for emotion alone, and probably the way the game panned out would be Olivier away from home at Lazio. Not so much for the great chip, obviously, but not so much for the actual goal itself, more for what it gave us and just what it meant to everyone. You could see the action from the dugout and the pitch themselves, but you looked around the stadium, which was a lot of Celtic fans that evening, and the reaction they got from them was special. And you remember these things, and Olivier will certainly remember that for a long time to come. But other than that, domestically, there's been a few good ones. I think it was Ryan Christie had one against St Johnson, I think, maybe in the first game of the season.
That's right, yeah.
One of the strikes off the crossbar, it was a good strike. Olivier, another one, I think it might have been against long range one, top corner.
Thistle, yeah.
So ones like that.
I tell you one that I really liked actually was remember Chris Ayer scored at Fir Park back in August. Started from Scott Bain's throw out.
That's right, yeah.
I just thought that between him and James Forrest, I thought it was a brilliant move.
James Forrest takes up the play. Ayer strides forward as well. The ball knocked through. It's a chance for Ayer to equalise. And Christopher Ayer has equalised. A wonderful goal from the Norwegian. His third goal in Celtic colours. He started the move. He finished the move. It's one apiece here at Fir Park.
Fantastic through pass there from James Forrest. Chris Ayer, you can see what it means to him. We speak about how he celebrates his tackles at the other end of the pitch and what it means to him to get a goal. We've said a few times before about how Celtic have responded already this season when going to go behind. That is another example, and you can just see Scott Brown pulling everybody in there in the celebrations, telling everybody what they need to do now, getting everybody going. That is a fantastic finish from a defender. It's a fantastic finish from any player, but Chris Ayer can be very proud of that.
Yeah. Chris Ayers against Aberdeen as well.
Aberdeen was very similar.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough again.
Don't get him too excited, because he'll love the fact he's up and they're running for goal this season. But no, there's been a few in terms of that emotional side and the reaction. It would be Olivier's for me. But then if you're talking about the actual, goal, which is part of a team built up, whatever else, Chris Ayers was great, and then you've got the individual quality of Ryan Christie, Olivier strike it.
Callum McGregor's against Motherwell this side of the year was a good build up as well, wasn't it?
That was a bobbly first touch, wasn't it? I remember speaking to him after, and he's like, "Mine, I meant that, did you?" He said, "No, it just popped up in front of me and it just sat." So I thought I had it.
It looked good.
It did look good, but again, there's been several. It's always difficult to put your finger on one that's hard to choose. But if I was to choose one, I'd choose the Lazio away from Olivier, just because what it meant to everybody.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the stats for this season, I think we've scored in all competitions 141 goals, which is 37 more than last season, which again just shows you the quality, but just the attacking play that you've brought into the team and pushed them on from last season.
Yeah, and again, it's just trying to keep moving forward. We've quite a way of playing that the players know well, but it's try to, make little changes that might, affect the outcome of things in terms of how can we score more goals and how can we concede less goals, how we can create more chances. So we always look at that, and we always try and, tweak things here or there, and sometimes it's personnel, sometimes it's a positioning thing, it might be a system, whatever it might be, but very much from the get-go this season, it's been very much about we'll go out and we'll attack in every game. We'll attack with real purpose and intent. And when the opportunities come along, we want to be ruthless, not just in terms of ruthless in front of goal, but I mean, if spaces open up in certain areas, we want to attack them very quickly. So there's an element of patience in certain games, but we always have the players forward thinking. We ask them to be aggressive without the ball, but we also ask them to be aggressive with it now. So in terms of that final third, we allow them to take a bit of risk as long as the position is good behind that, which means we don't get counter-attacked. We, ask players to, combine in twos and threes and have their moments of magic themselves, in the right areas of the pitch. So, we give them enough freedom, which, gets the best out of the individuals who can go and create, but at the same time make sure we've got a good structure, which hopefully, keeps us in good control of the game. But it's that intent and aggression and willingness to run forward and be aggressive with the ball. And then when we lose it, a massive part of our game is how quickly we can win it back, because that becomes, a time in the game when things become a bit disorganised for the opposition. They lose the kind of focus, they're out of shape, whatever it might be. And if you look at a lot of the chances and goals we create, a lot of them can be in those moments where we've had possession, we lose it, and then how quickly we can react and disorganise the opposition and win the ball back quickly, and then we can quickly counter-attack. And with the speed we've got in the team, that allows us to have reasonable success with that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, we recently marked it was the anniversary of the Barcelona game at the Nou Camp back in 2004, that goalless draw that you were a part of. Do you ever allow yourself to kind of look back at these moments when they arrive, the anniversaries? Are you always constantly given the job and the role you've got at the club just now? Is it always a case of always looking forward, and then at some point you'll reflect on it?
Yeah, it's a game I've actually never watched all the way through myself,
right,
believe it or not. So it's a game I've seen bits and pieces of and highlights, but I've actually never went back and watched the whole game.
You played quite well.
Obviously, getting carried with 10 other stars, but it's one where obviously remember it very, very well in terms of the night and the game and everything else, but it's one that I don't really go back to too much. And I'm not one like that who looks back and goes and watches whatever I was involved in, or I always tend to try and look forward. In my time now, kind of free time at home, try to go back through certain games from this season ourselves to kind of refresh my memory on, or look at certain things and do that. But it's always about what we do going forward. We kind of work in a certain way that allows us to have a quick reflection on the game we've just played or a period we've just been through. We've got a great team of analysts who can quickly pull everything we need together. So we've got a way of working which will pretty much, as soon as we can, reflect on the game, pick out the good, the bad, the indifferent, and chat about it, get that information across to the players, which they might need. And then from then it's quickly focusing on the next game. So in terms of that middle of the week to the end of the week, it's very much about the next opponent, what we need to do better, what we might need to do differently going into the next game, and just reinforcing that as much as we can in training to get as much work in as we can before the game comes around again. And then again, because there's so many games, the cycle starts again. So you never really get a chance to reflect too much or look back on memories and everything else. It's very much about the here and now and what might come next. And again, if you get caught sleeping, then it can be dangerous. So we've always got to be on our toes at all times, and again try and give the players what they need to go out there and deliver, which they have been on a regular basis on the weekend or midweek, whatever it might be. But again, the most important thing is just not dwelling too much on the past and looking forward at all times.
Listen, John, that's absolutely brilliant. Thanks for joining us today. We want to wish you the best of luck in the spin bike challenge this week. We're keeping my fingers crossed that you're going to win.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Okay, cheers, John. Thanks,
Cheers,
guys.
Thank you.